Okay, welcome to the next shiur. Let's go. Before I start, what are the things that you wanted to specifically touch on?
Yeah.
No, not that. The switch. No, put that back. Just no, down. Yes. What are the things that you wanted to touch upon? Go ahead, just say, and we'll take it from there.
Talk to me about Ironheart already.
No, you said more than that.
Money?
Money,
No, but like how to sustain.
sustain money,
Real estate, maybe?
Real estate is like
money. Next, no.
What we could do with our significant other.
What we can do regarding our significant other, that's like so broad. It's basically saying what can we do when we breathe.
No, like
What is it? I don't know what that means. You just moved your tongue. That doesn't help me in any way.
So when you pause this.
Same. That way. Oh, okay, fine. Okay, continue. And
damn, that's not weird. Who does that?
and
Oh.
and
Ironheart.
I know.
We already said, those three things.
You're on time, but you're an hour late, but you're on time. That's what it is. Okay. So those were your questions. Today, really, what I wanted to talk about is a concept called Ain Tova and Ain Ra.
Toda, Ayn what?
Ain Tova, good eye, and
Ain
Ain
bad.
Ra, and the bad eye. And a lot of people, unfortunately, have this understanding that these things don't exist. And for those people, they're very foolish. They're childish. It's not superstition. It's reality. And today we'll talk about certain.
But it's like
things.
24/7 though. Like someone could always give Ironheart.
So we'll talk about it. And I'm telling you this out of life experience because I've experienced it. I've experienced bad eye, good eye, eyes that stay on you, eyes that leave you. To the point there are people with such power with eyes they can ruin your life. Mamish, they can ruin your life. And sometimes they don't do it intentionally. They just have a koach of their eye. And if they would know, they would use it for positive, how much more they would gain. But we'll talk about it. We see something very interesting in this parasha. The Midrash goes in depth into this. We have two big characters. One is Korach's wife and On, Ben Perez's wife. They're not really mentioned in the Torah, but they are huge characters in this week's parasha. The Leviim, Korach was a Levi. He was a Levite, came from the tribe of Levi. They had to shave all their hair on their body. Everything. Eyebrows, eyelashes, everything.
Kohanim as well, just Levine.
Only the Levim, and it was done one time. It was like a purification process.
So once they go back, it's fine.
You see, let me explain. I want you to, I don't want to go off tangent because this needs a whole shoe on its own, but hair has a huge significance. Hair has a huge significance on the body, on the face, on the head, on the your beard, your chest, everywhere in your body has a significance. It means something. The size, the length of your beard, everything means.
So someone can
There is,
go smell.
you know, the Gemara says a person doesn't have two hairs on his face. It's safek if he can be yotzeh someone for, not safek, if he can be yotzeh someone for kiddush.
So he shaves his face.
Zimun.
What if he shaves his face?
No. We're talking about if he can't grow. If he
Okay.
can't grow.
Yeah.
Mamish can't grow.
Very unlikely.
You know, I've seen people like that.
I wouldn't.
Now disease. Just I seen one person like that.
Sure.
But these things happen. But hair has a very big significance. You see, hair is hashpawat. Hair is revealment of your source of your soul from the upper world down to you. That's why women must keep their hair on their head.
How come
They must keep it. They must. Why? because their life source comes from in a very high area called the Bina, and which is made out of gvurot, which come down to dinim and whatever the case is. I'm not going to get into it. But it comes from a very holy place too. That's why a Nazir has to keep his hair on his head. He cannot shave it. Why? What kind of nonsense is this? A Kohen Gadol has to take a haircut once a week. A king has to take a haircut every day. Every day. The Kohanim have to take a haircut once a month. And the Nazir, which is higher than all of them in spirituality, cannot cut his hair. But that's a topic for another time. And I know a lot about it. But for another time.
How come men go bald then? Do you think so?
How come?
Men go bald.
There are reasons why people become bald.
No, but like I'm saying, like spiritual reasons.
There are reasons. There's also health reasons, but there's also...
I heard this.
No, the Rambam says that the hair, your roots of your hair gets weak. It starts to fall off when you do too much sins with that topic, meaning Israel and all that. But you don't become head bald because of that. Don't fool yourself.
Like whatever you think, if you have like a little patch.
Whatever, it's also DNA, there's genetics, there's a lot of things. Let's not also be crazy and start to judge everybody. That's not the point. So we have two main characters which I want to talk to you. And Korach comes one day with hitlahavut, with a big excitement. He did the mitzvah of Moshe Rabbeinu that was commanded from Hashem B'Piyat Yehuda. And he shaved off all of his hair, and his wife sees him and says, "Oh, my moon. So stop. What happened? You look crazy. Where's your hair?" And he's explaining to her to take off the hair. The Levim come from a certain energy line called the Gvurot, and the Kohanim are Chasadim, and we have to take off our Gvurot, which is our hair, which is Hashpa'ot. And he's explaining all the story. She says, leave us alone. You see, you are the oldest of the cousins. You had to be really the Kohen. You're the oldest. You're the eldest. And instead, look what they made out of you. They made you into a disgusting looking person. Why didn't you fight for your rights? And like this, tiput went into his head. And this comes from a woman that has an ayn ra. A woman that has bad eyes.
Why is there ayn ra when you said there's ayn hara?
That's called the bad eye. Hey is, if you learn Diduk, means the bad eye. Right? So when you say, I got ayn hara, you don't know from who, but if you know someone that gave you ayn, you say, that person gave me ayn ra.
Yeah, but when you say hara, no.
You guys, we're discussing first grade things. This is Diduk. Let's not.
Yeah, but you said the bad eye, right? So
yeah.
The be in the beginning of
No, that means the mean not knowing who. You say the when you don't know who. But when you know who, you don't say the, right?
It's literally ayin. It's like
I got the bad eye from so and so. But you're not gonna say I got the bad eye.
I got bad the eye.
I got bad eye. Okay, this is stupid. What are we discussing right now? You're wasting time. I'll practice. Now, we have to understand that the reason why his destruction of who he is as a human being came was because his wife had a bad eye. Now, we think a bad eye is you look at someone and you give him a bad energy. A bad eye can also be bad influence. Always that one bad person in the crowd, that chamor, right? That everyone's wondering, like, how is he in here, but how is he not here? But he's too close to be with us in order for us to tell him not to be with us, right? You know that one person? Those are people with the crazy advices, those things that only good for him. Everyone has that. And when you tell him something that's out of his or out of her understanding, you're like, wow, how did you achieve that? How did you do that? Yeah, I stopped being an idiot and I achieved it. And you're still playing in Trondolando. When a person has a bad eye, a bad attitude, where does it come from? It comes from a person's self-esteem. Comes from a person that's judgmental. The more judgmental you are, the more you'll give people, or you'll have this bad eye on people. Why? Because you're not content, you're not happy. On Ben Perez's wife, on the other hand, said, "You're going against Moshe Rabbeinu? What more do you need in your life? We know we're from the Shevet Reuven. Reuven also got up, the tribe of Reuven. They're like, oh, we're really supposed to be everything. We lost everything." His wife said, "Shoteh, idiot, what are you doing? Relax. You're happy, it's all good. You're not going there, I'm not letting you to go." And we all know the Midrash, the story says that when they came to take him, she took off her kisui rosh. They saw her beautiful lushy hair, and they are like, "Oh, this person is a rasha. We don't want him to be part of our rebelling against Moshe." And that's the way his wife said. But let's get back to the concept, which people don't understand really. This world, everything around us, is full of light waves, sound waves, right? Everything.
Radio waves, yeah.
These waves, what are they?
Vibrations.
What are they? They are vibrations of people from a person to another person.
So we say we're vibrating.
Besides, we all vibrating.
Yes, so
An atom cannot exist unless it's always moving.
so we're vibrating.
Right?
That's the term. Vibe.
Now, when you talk, there's a certain sense of vibration. There's a certain sense of energy,
My
right?
voice box, vibe.
When you hear, there's a certain sense. But as a person, also, your eyes, when you look,
Yeah.
it's the greatest vibration. The greatest vibration is your eyes. To the point that your eyes, it's structured in such a way that not only does it receive, it also gives. Your ear, as it is, cannot give. It can only
Take.
receive. Your mouth cannot take. It can only give. But your eyes is the exact opposite. It can give and it can take. The Gemara Masechet Moed Katan says, I forget which.
How can you give?
You mean like giving a bad look to somebody?
The Gemara says, I forgot on which daf, there was a Rebbe walking with his Talmidim, and he looks at, they were walking in the graveyard, and he says, "You see the people that are buried here? 90% of them died because of Ayin Ra." Do you know what I'm telling you? They died before their time. They died before what they have to do. Why? Because people give them bad eye. Energy is extremely important. The koach ha'inayim,
You can
the
control
koach ha'inayim are extremely important. Now comes this tzaddik over here. He says, we can't control this. I'm telling you today, I'm going to tell you wrong.
Don't say the other people on you.
Today I'm gonna hopefully the Gemara says also if you're from the Zera of Yosef, Ayin Hara doesn't go on you. So we're gonna try to understand really what that means. What does that mean? You see, there are people that control the mood. You ever met such a person?
He walks in the whole room.
He controls the mood. If this guy's happy,
Everybody.
the whole crowd's happy. If this guy's down, the whole crowd's down. If this guy is serious, the whole crowd's serious. This kind of person he's considered like a generator. He's a moving energy ball. That's who he is. That's his nature.
How do you have that?
And I'm going to tell you, you don't need to have that. You need to have what you have. You will personally also have that, but you have that to yourself. The way you feel and think, you control how suddenly you start, what comes out of you. So when a person is unhappy, he's not content with what he has, for example, right? He doesn't have something and he really wants that $800,000 watch you go, right? Automatically, when you see someone else happy, you can say, I'm happy for him, but you also behind in the back of your head says, I wish I also had that.
What's wrong with that?
Your happiness to him is not fully just to him. There's a bit of klipa inside of that. So what happens? Automatically you're giving him in ayn hara, not knowing that you're giving him ayn
So
hara.
naturally, you just give it away.
Correct. How do you make it that shouldn't happen? When you have unconditional happiness and love for that person. That means, now you're saying that's impossible.
Even if it is possible, like, what if you see your friend and he wants to be like, hey, how are you? You see him in a car. He has a nice car, let's say Ferrari. Oh, nice, I like it. Very nice. You unintentionally giving it to him, even though
Correct.
you're happy for him.
Correct.
But unintentionally giving it to
Because
him.
in the back of your head you want to have it.
Yeah,
What's wrong with
I
that?
never said something's wrong or not. You asked me about ayn hara. We're talking about the concept of ayn hara.
But why is that a bad
No,
idea?
no, no, no.
I want the same thing.
Because you want it. Automatically, when you want something that he wants, you have that jealousy. No matter what you tell me, no. Save your nose to your grandma. Telling you a fact. When you see someone else have it and you also want it, yeah, it comes from a jealousy. It comes from a place of not satisfaction. It comes from a place of how come he has and I don't have. It comes from a place, what is he doing that I'm not doing? That's called a bad eye. You're not intentionally doing it. But what happens when you do that? Automatically, that feeling that you give to that person, what happens? Smashes him. Not good. It's a not good shidduch. Now, how do you make it that shouldn't affect you in any way, shape, or form? Through my experience of delving in this specific topic, a person that is happy with what he has and that's not jealous of others, when a person gives off that sense of vibe to another person, it cannot affect them. Why? If I have a loop, right? And I have a full ring, a full ball, right? Can the loop catch the full ball? Impossible. Only a loop can catch onto something that also has something like a loop. When a person's content with his life, he's like a ball, he's a sphere. He's okay. The ayn hara doesn't go on anyone else. He doesn't have bad eye on anyone.
It's impossible.
Life's good. Automatically, when you have a bad feeling towards you, when you also have that sense of that bitterness to others, you're allowing other people's bad energy to affect you.
So if you have
Like the Gemara says, like the halacha says, glass you don't need to kosher. Unless there is a certain nick, whatever the case is. But let's say they have a glass plate that's fully smooth and straight, everything is good, and you eat meat from it, you can go wash it, and right now put nice hot pizza on it, and eat it. No problem. Glass doesn't absorb taste. Why? Because it also doesn't give any taste. It doesn't take, so it doesn't give. But let's say you take metal or ceramic. These are items that take taste. So since they take it, they also
Give
give
it.
it. And if you put something on it that's not meat or milk, of course there's halach parameters, how, 24 hours, not 24 hours, if you kosher, if you don't kosher, and so on and so forth. Some things could be kosher, some can't. Automatically what happens? It also can give. So when your kli, when your cup is complete and content, automatically, as much of other water you want to put, it will never change the water that's in here. But if you have someone that's bitterly inside, and the other person's bitter, automatically when you have a bad eye, it affects that person. Yosef HaTzadik, what happened towards the end of his life? He was content. There's a line in the Torah that he said that I think if people live with this line, you will be very successful, emotionally successful. Everything comes from Hashem. That's what he told his brothers. He told his brothers, he says, why are you upset? If it wasn't for the fact that you sold me, for the fact that Hashem made sure that you would sell me, I wouldn't be here today. And if I wouldn't be here today, this whole thing wouldn't be. I needed to be here. He was content, he was happy, everything worked out. When you come and you say, oh, I want this, you can want, but that doesn't mean you also have to have that bitterness of somebody else.
You said automatically when you want, you already have it. You said that.
Okay. You asked a good question. No.
What?
And I'll tell you why. A person can see someone else have something and not be jealous of it. But for that you need such a koach haratzon, you need such a willpower, such a ahavat chinam. You need to have such pure love to another human being that if you see your friend driving that car, having that watch, or going on a vacation, it doesn't bother you. It's possible, but it's very difficult. I don't care what people say, it's not difficult, it's difficult. Korach's wife had a jealousy for Moshe Rabbeinu.
She wanted?
She wanted her husband to have that stature of Kohen Gadol.
Moshe Rabbeinu was Kohen Gadol?
No, he was a Kohen Gadol for 1 week actually.
Why?
Because he had to give it over to Aaron.
So he went into the Kosh Gadol? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm not
He
sure.
did everything.
Mishkan, in the Mishkan there was a Kodesh Kodesh.
I was saying, he did everything. So Moshe Rabbeinu.
I'm not sure. But what I will tell you is that she wanted her husband to have that.
She thought he was on a higher level than he was.
He was the oldest of the family.
He
He had that birthright. That's my
Technically,
right.
did he?
Yes. And technically he's supposed to have it.
So that's his first cousin.
When Mashiach comes, it's going to be Korah that's going to be Kohen Gadol. I'm not going to get into the whole details what the Ari brings about it, the Shorsh Neshama of Cain over Hevel and so on and so forth. We're not going to get into that right now. The Leviim, who is the Shorsh Neshama from Cain has to be a Kohen, and who is from Hevel has to be a Levi. We're not getting into that right now. That's not the point. The point is, if you're not going to be satisfied, and I'm going to tell you something, if you know a person that has these kind of eyes, you're never going to change him.
You're going to change him?
Yeah.
I mean, you can if you start believing everything from Hashem.
Yeah,
So you said.
But
You're
it's
right.
hard though to do.
you're right.
It's a working.
But this is I'm going to tell you out of experience. You see, people think I'm crazy, but this is the mitzvah. This is reality. I'm telling you, this is reality. I've experienced it not once, not twice, several times. It was a disaster. I'll tell you personal stories that happened to me after certain people came to my house. It was disastrous. Fights, people breaking hands, there's needing to go to doctors, emergency rooms. It was a disaster.
Because of this type of things.
Because of these kind of people that would always come to my house, and I realized that this is the issue. This is the issue. Now you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. I'm far from crazy. These kind of people, if you feel that there's a person like that, I beg you, stay very far away from them. Very far. Because their Ain Hara comes from them being bitter in their own life.
It's not bitter, you just want to be the best.
No. It comes from them being bitter in their own life.
Why are they bitter to happen?
Because if they don't achieve whatever someone else has, they're bitter inside. It hurts them. You're talking in a perspective as a teenager. I'm talking to you in a perspective when someone's already in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s. It's a different mindset. Those people, they have bitterness. It's disgusting. And they feel they didn't do anything wrong. They can be the greatest preachers in the world. But the koach that they're giving to others is just negativity. More negativity. These kind of people, you have to be very, very, very careful. What happened to Korach then? What happened? The ground swallowed him alive. All of his followers, the ground swallowed him alive. Habibi, the whole thing, everything, all of his all of his properties, his money. He was so rich. He was one of the 3 richest people in the world.
At the time.
In the world, he had everything. The bad eye of his wife consumed him. Consumed him. That's why they say don't marry gold diggers. Where does it come from? What's wrong with a girl that wants to pamper herself? Nothing wrong with that. Girls should pamper themselves. A husband should pamper his wife. What's the difference? The difference is she doesn't want to get pampered. She wants to be the pamper. When a woman is only looking to be the pamper, then what happens?
To be the pamper.
When you don't have anything to provide then, she'll leave you. She'll get rid of you. Because you're not there anymore to provide. That's not a good wife. I'm sorry to tell you that. It's disastrous. It's disastrous. It's a disastrous setting. But if you have a person that's willing to work, willing to understand, be with you in your hard days, be with you in your happy days, that's someone that you should not let go. Ever. Because she understands struggle. She understands that we're in it together forever. These are just things that we Gam Zeyam. Shlomo Melech had a ring that said Gam Zeyam. This will also pass.
I mean, why the more we have money, the more cheap we become. Like
this will also pass. What do you mean this will also pass? This sensation you have now, happiness will pass. This sensation of sadness will pass. This sensation of depression will pass. This sensation of greed will pass. It will pass. And when it passes, when you get older, you'll realize how foolish you were. You're gonna go play with Hot Wheel cars right now? You're gonna see a guy your age playing with Hot Wheels cars. They wanna. This guy's crazy. What's he doing? He's 25 years old. He's playing with Hot Wheel cars. Toba. Right? The same thing. As you get older, you're gonna realize how dumb you were for liking certain desires. I'll give you an example. I was right now talking to a friend of mine who told me how this very successful man, he started to have tavot, he wants to cheat on his wife. Okay. He wants to cheat. What's the problem here? The problem is, this man doesn't just want to cheat, he wants to fall in love with someone before he cheats with her.
So this is just one
You hear what I'm telling you?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just having a small satan.
He wants to be in love.
He wants to play a game that he doesn't know. He never did shtiyot, so he doesn't know what he's getting himself into.
He wants to be like high school.
You understand? He doesn't know what he's getting himself into. This is the most dangerous thing in the world. It's like my Rebbe one time told me, a person went one time to Rav Levi Yitzchak ben Barditcher and said, I slept with a Jewish girl. Okay, I need a tikkun for it. I need you to help me do tshuva tikkun. He said, okay. He said, but Rabbi, I made sure she went to the mikvah before. Rav Levi Yitzchak ben Barditcher heard that. He said, get out of here. Why? He said, not only did you do the sin, you had to ask God to pretend that you're not going to go over one isur, so you put her in the mikvah? Get out of here!
It's a little better. What do you mean?
What do you mean better?
What do you mean?
Well, what does that mean? Of course, it's 10 times worse. And I understand the logic. Because when you have a tava to sin, if God still comes into your brain and you sinned, that's a problem.
Why?
And I'll tell you, no. This, you're not understanding something. No. You don't. I'll tell you why you don't understand. You think I'm talking about just jerking off, eating not kosher, going with. No, I'm talking about a sin that takes you time to prepare. Right? You don't go to someone from the bar and say, "Okay, you're gonna be with me. First, go to the mikvah, and then we'll do what we got." You don't do that. When someone has a tava for a sin. In, out, finish, bye-bye, have a nice day, right?
Okay.
When you go and you have to do hachana for a sin to that extent, that means you needed to have some self-control in order to overthink this. But you didn't. At the end, the guy went to the Balatani, and the Balatani found him a tikkun. But why am I telling you this? You were talking about this guy that was gonna do this sin. Really, what's really bothering him? I tell you what's bothering him. That spark that he's missing in his marriage is coming out. So where does he think he's gonna find it? In a zona in the street. So anything that's is not fulfilling you in your own domain, a person tries to fulfill it in another person's domain. Not knowing that you just need to fix your own domain, and then you won't need to search for other people's domains. This is humans. When we will worry about our side of the grass, right? What's my famous saying? If you water your side of the grass, it will be as green as the neighbor's side of the grass, if not greener. We don't want to water our side of the grass.
Why?
People look at good, happy couples. Oh, how come they're there? They don't know how much they struggled in order to get there. They don't know how many fights they had to hold in. They don't know how many working on the midot they needed to do. They don't know how much of livater, how much they had to give in. They don't look at all that. You know what they look at? I'll tell you what they look at. How come they're like that right now? You don't want to do the footwork. You're disastrous. You're a disastrous human being. You don't appreciate what your husband is doing, or you don't appreciate what your wife is doing. You don't appreciate the good that you have in your family. Oh, but everyone else has a better life. What does that mean? What is that to you? You worry about your life, you figure out your problems, and you'll have a good life. But we don't want to do that. So what do? We give a bad vibe to everybody. We can do it even purposely. Hashem created people with powers of Einan like that. It's not a joke. These kind of people you have to be careful from. I'm telling you. Certain people in my life I had to cut just because of this.
Can you pray that Hashem to protect you?
Of course. All the time.
Pray, I'm good, I can believe it.
Nothing beats prayer.
So if I pray, I'm confident I'm good.
If you pray, you're confident, and you work that you don't have any kina, any jealousy, or any desire for someone else, whatever he has, which you should also pray for that too, you'll be fine. But the kli kibul needs to come somewhere.
What did you say?
Okay. There's always a giving and a taking, right?
Yeah.
This concept of giving and taking, even though it doesn't affect you, it can affect people around you. I want you to understand this. This is not superstitious, this is reality of life. Even though it doesn't affect you, because you reach a certain level, it can certainly affect people around you. Kids, your money, your health, ABC. It's not a sin to cut off people that are negative. I want you to understand. You can love them, but it doesn't mean you need to have a relationship with them. It's not a sin. I want you guys to understand this. Everyone thinks when everyone becomes religious, we have to be like, I don't know, like this fanaticness.
What if your father's negative to you all the time?
There's a negativity. You know, you're talking about verbal negativity. I'm not talking about verbal negativity. Verbal negativity is another issue. I'm not talking about that. It's called mental abuse, actually. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something totally different. A person that has the verbal negativity, you have to understand two things. If it's a parent that you can't get rid of, you can't get rid of them. And you shouldn't get rid of them. You have to accept it, and you can't take it to heart. The reason why it bothers you is because you take it to heart. And the reason why you take it to heart is because it's your parent. But you have to understand that that parent doesn't know any better. He's not doing it because he hates you, he's doing it because he loves you, and his way of expressing love is through negative ways of speaking, because that's the way he was taught, and that's the way until the chain goes until something. What makes you have to understand that he's not doing it because he means it, he's doing it because he doesn't know better. and you just have to love it. Just trust me. You can't cut these people out of your life. You don't want to cut these people out of your life. You know when it's going to hit him? You ready? When you're going to have your own kids. And when he's going to see that the way he taught to raise kids had to be in a verbal, abusive way in order to get his way, in order for you to do whatever he asked you to do. And instead, you're doing it in a positive reinforcement, positive speech, and your kid still does what you want. That's when he'll say, wow, how do you do that? I'm amazed. You shocked me. He might not tell it to you. I promise you, Steve. But that's your job. Someone needs to break the generational trauma. You need to break it. I very much believe in these things. This is 100% true. The Torah talks about it all the time in hidden codes. You have to break the generational trauma. You must. And you could break it. But that comes with the understanding everything comes from Hashem. Everything that I have or what I desire, regardless of if I have it or if I don't have it, if Hashem wants me to have it, I'm going to have it. And if I don't have it, I know that's for the best. Even though if I want it.
But you should still put your effort in. If you want,
you should put your effort on things that you want. But if it doesn't happen, that doesn't mean right now you have to go kill yourself. Like I remember when he finished high school, he wanted a BMW, he wanted this, he wanted that, he wanted the whole world. And then I think he got a car, he realized it's so expensive, it's a waste of money, and he still wants it. But what happened? He became a little smarter. What do you say? I'll get a little older and I'll earn it then. Elamite are people that are his age that have it and they can't even pay for it. So why do you have it? I don't know. Those are called dafooks. Stupid people. So why are you running for it? To be broke? I never understood people like that. I still don't have the car. I don't. If I need to get somewhere, I'll find a way to get there.
Yeah,
it's not mine. It's not my car. Do you understand? It's my wife's car. We just got it this year. It's our first year we actually had a car. Other than that, it was my parents' car. It was my brother's car. It wasn't my car. Do you understand? I have family, Baruch Hashem. I have 6 kids, Baruch Hashem, right?
6?
I don't. You look at my car. How can I fit all my kids in that car? It's impossible. It's impossible. So I use that. Exactly. I figured it out. You maneuver it. Right now I should be upset. I should be crying. Oh, he has a bigger car. He has a minivan. No. Didn't come my way. Weiter in life. I'm going to kill myself. Okay. Does worrying help you? I went this week with my sister-in-law to take an exam. She was doing an exam. I wanted to give her chizuk. I said, I'll also do the exam with you. I don't need it. I just did it anyways. And she's worrying. I was like, is it going to help you? You worrying right now. Is it going to help you on your exam? No. So why are you worrying? Explain this to me. They finish taking the exam. She comes out. I'm so worried. I don't know if I passed. Is it going to help you worrying? You already took it. It's done. It's finished. Whatever you got, you got. You worrying now. Is it going to help? No. So why are you worrying? Explain to me this logic. I never understood this. How can you have this emotion that's not going to help you? I understand sometimes this happens. A sense of depression, a sense of hurt and pain and so on and so forth. I understand. But to constantly have this sensation of pain that you cause and you afflict on yourself. Rabbi said, all the pain you have in your life, you afflict on yourself. For example, you're going to the store and someone starts to fight with you, right? Right? Mentally, verbally, says things that are nasty to you. Now you have 2 options. Be quiet and look at him like, okay, this guy is eating his medication, like, okay, tova. Or I'm gonna answer him back now. Now, how does the ego play? If I'm gonna be quiet, he's gonna think I'm a simp. I can't have him think that I'm a simp. I'm gonna be a man. So I'm gonna answer him back. Now that I answer him back, what happens? Your nerves You're stressed, you're this, and or you're gonna say, okay, he's gonna think I'm a simp, but he's crazy. Regardless of what happens, he's crazy. I'm not stooping down to that level. I'm not stooping down, and you just walk away. Oh, you have nothing to say? Look at you, and he makes you feel even worse. You're like, Toba, like, well, what are you gonna do? That's the game of the human mind all the time. When you think you get married, what, it's going to be peaches and plums all the time? I love those people that say that. No, it's not. I said, don't lie to the newlyweds. It's not going to be peaches and plums. It's not. It's going to be a lot of sour things there, a lot of nasty things there. You're going to figure it out. But one of you have to hold in your ego. The other one has to hold in the other ego. You have to calm down, you have to relax, you have to understand, you're building yourself, and it's going to go right there. Everything's going to be okay. As long as you don't give up. As long as you don't say things that are sensitive that shouldn't be said. People think in a marriage, you know, I'm going to get back at my spouse, I'm going to say things that he told me that were very personal to him, and I'm going to bring it up. That's why that's what happened. You're a 5-year-old kid. He or she expressed their deepest, darkest traumas to you and things that bother, and now you think by mentioning it, you're going to get him back.
That's why people are scared of
You're gonna make him hate. Why am I telling you this now? Because Khatan teachers and Kala teachers don't teach this to them. So I'm telling you to now, so whoever watches should understand that doesn't help in a marriage. That makes marriages worse.
So do you express or not?
You express
how
how you
express.
No, you express. No, you have to.
They're gonna come at you.
No, you have to. You have to understand, as a mature human being, you're gonna marry someone that's somewhat mature. You have to understand there are certain things we don't push.
Now, boom, came at me. Now what?
After the argument's over, you have to explain to the person what you did was very disgusting. I trusted you with something, and you as a child had to use it as a defense mechanism, which is very unacceptable. Now, you cannot blame her because she was impulsive, she was immature, or he or she, whatever the case is, right? But in the same time, you also have to understand, you have to also explain. It's like a child. Marriage is like you are become a child and she becomes a child. You have to mechanech each other in order to understand what's right, what flies, and what doesn't fly in this household. If these things don't fly, put it out. This doesn't fly. Like when I got married, what didn't fly? We don't. If we argue, we don't go to sleep upset. We don't go to sleep upset. We have to figure it out. We'll bark at each other, whatever the case is, until we don't figure it out. We're not going to bed. And even though the other one is in bed, faking that they're in bed. No. You're going to wake him up or wake her up, and you're going to discuss the issue. Because it doesn't get better the next day.
It gets worse.
It gets worse. Because you guys are not going to fall asleep.
Put out the fire.
You guys are over here thinking you're over here, it's always working. Is he looking at me? Is he coming? Is she this? Is she that? Did she make me breakfast? Did she take out the garbage? And all those things come in your brain, and really all that is what? Because one of you were not willing to put down your ego and to confront the situation.
Right, but then let's just say, in this case, a guy always puts his ego down, he becomes like a... I don't.
So this is the $1 million question. The $1 million question is, I always do it, she never does.
No,
I'm asking the question. I'm asking. Or she always does it, but he never does it. Right? Someone always puts their head down, the other one doesn't put their head down. Okay. I'm going to explain something to you. I feel personally, a couple should spend every day at least 45 to 1 hour together.
Married.
Married couple. Not dating. Absolutely not. Dating should be maybe 3 months that you date, and then in those 3 months, maybe an hour a day that you speak. Not even a day. An hour every other day, maybe. We'll talk about it later. You already passed those hours in those 3 months, maybe 3 years already. No, I'm just joking. Now, I'm explaining to you why. Why is this very important for when you get married? And what do you talk about? What do you talk about? Not about the kids. Not about your finances. Not about your in-laws. None of that. You talk about each other. Now, everyone that's married is watching this is going to think I'm crazy. I'm mentally ill. I'm insane.
7 hours a week.
I'm crazy. You know what? I'm not crazy. I promise you, I'm not. And when you when you start doing this, you guys are going to think yourselves that you guys are crazy. But what happens when you start talking about each other and how much you appreciate each other and how much you love each other and how much you're thankful for each other and how much you yourself want to grow in certain things and how much she needs to grow, and you talk about these things, what happens?
Connection.
You start to get a connection of unconditional understanding to one another. But if all the time your conversation is, you did this, I did that, who is this, what is that, what happens? You only start to become enemies to one another. You only start to hate each other. You only start to see the negative between one another. That's not a marriage. It's a jail time. And it's for life. Rather to be in jail behind bars than be married in that kind of marriage. Because at least in jail behind bars, you can enjoy a little bit. But living with such a person, you cannot enjoy. There is no enjoyment. None whatsoever. There is no life. It's disastrous. You have to work on your midot. These are things that need to be in place and implemented in the beginning of one's marriage. It must. And if it didn't happen in the beginning, then it must be implemented as soon as possible. And I'm gonna tell you something that no one's gonna like this. No rabbi is gonna help you. No workshop of Shalom Bayit ever gonna help you. It's all scheme. Everything that rabbi is telling you, you already know. You know all of it. You know what the difference is? You don't want to work on yourself. The rabbi is just reminding you you're human and your spouse is human and people make mistakes, so you start to accept how the other person's acting. But in reality, nothing that person said is anything different than what you know. You just have to work on yourself. You have to be willing to put down the ego, put down the gava, learn to express yourself. I don't feel like a simp every time I spend time with my wife talking about these things. Why should I feel like a simp? I feel so happy. Because when I see people that live miserable, I get to understand, like, I worked on my marriage. I was not always like this. I worked on it. I'm very happy. To the point that when people ask me certain things, my wife and I like, what is it to you? Like, if it doesn't bother me, why should it bother you? Who are you? Or if it doesn't bother me, why should someone, like, what is it? People's opinions don't matter. You know when they matter? When you're not happy. Because you're not here then to please your spouse. You're here to please who? Other people. You know those Instagram marriages?
What if you're really happy?
You know those Instagram marriages? Don't have one of those.
But what if someone's happy, but you just just say your boys, your friends, just say you got to be you, this, that, it's fire. You're happy with it, but it's still nice to hear from other people.
I don't understand anything you said.
You're saying
Did anyone understand? What does this have to do with your boys now? But okay, go ahead.
You just said about being happy. I just said that part of being, you could still be happy, but it's still nice to hear from others. You said it's not good to want to hear from others.
I never said hear it. I said you don't need validation.
There you go.
No. That's not what I said. You're not listening. I said like this: when people tell you certain negative things about your spouse or your friends, whatever the case is, and you care, you're only doing it because you and your relationship are not content and happy with it. So what happens when you're not content with your spouse, with your relationship? You want to get content with other people's validation. You don't need that. You know when you know your life is good, when your marriage is great, when your relationship is great, your friendship is great, when a person can tell you about something about that, your relationship, you can look at him in the face and say, who are you? You have nothing to do with this. You don't care for his opinion. Do you understand the difference?
Yes.
Now ask your question.
No, I understand.
Okay. To get other people to tell you, oh, you did this good, you did that good, nothing wrong with that. But that shouldn't change the way you feel. The only person and the only thing that matters is your spouse and God. In these brackets, of course, your parents, your kids, and so many other things. That our parents that get involved. Well, what is it to you? Did anyone ever complain to you? No. Oh, you don't like the way we're acting towards one another? What is it to you? It's always good to get advice. It's always good to hear, but it doesn't mean now you have to involve, and through that involvement comes hate and resentment. And from that hate and resentment comes fights in the house. You don't need that. You gotta push all the negativity away. Now, let's get back to the Ayin Hara, and with this we're gonna finish.
Good question.
Ask your question.
You know about this Mizara de Yosef Ka'aitanis or something?
Yes.
Yeah. What is this? When do you say it?
The Gemara says you Mizar'a from the seed, the Yosef from Yosef I am. This is, the Gemara says, I forgot which one it said. I think one said from the Rachot, if I'm not mistaken. When you say this, Ayin Hara doesn't affect you. You have to do like this, and you have to, whatever the case is.
You have to do it right before you walk in like a room or something?
If you feel that Ayin Hara came on you, if you say it's according to the Gemara, the Ayin Hara doesn't affect you.
But it's Mizara'a? How do you?
Mizera, you can say.
Mizara.
But why?
I found this already.
But I just told you what's special about Yosef that we mentioned Yosef.
He didn't have no jealousy.
At the end of his life, he came to a conclusion. Ein od milvado. Everything comes from God. So no matter what people think about me, no matter what of all that, it doesn't affect. There is no Beit Kibbul. You can't. That Ayin Hara cannot be accepted to me. Why? Because for me, it doesn't exist. To begin with, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but he didn't come like this overnight.
I never said that.
So you can say it like that.
But if you start working on it now, then what do you, in 10 years from now, you maybe can master it. But if you start when you're 80, you'll not master it. Because you're going to have 80 years of baggage. But if you start in your 20s and your teens, you'll master it. Then none of this will affect you. And this comes from understanding one thing. Everything is from Hashem. Everything else is an illusion. This whole existence is one big illusion. The only thing that exists is God. That's it. That's what we don't understand. That's what's eating us alive. That's why we're not content. We're not happy because we don't really believe it's from God. We think kochi v'otzem yadi, it's from me. It's my power. It's my effort. It's mine. It's nothing to do with you. You happen to have these desires. How come you have these desires and I don't have it, Baruch Hashem? I don't care for an $800,000 watch. If someone would give it to me, I would take it. But I don't care for it. I'm not going to go out to seek it. I would take it and put it, sell it one day, investment, you never know. But I'm not going to go now, what am I going to do? All my friends got Rolexes. I want to get a Rolex. I want to get a Daytona. I want to get...
Why not? Inspiration.
Okay, I don't need it. I personally don't need it. I don't care for it.
But you don't need a certain amount of clothes. You don't need a certain amount of
I
shoes.
don't have it. You come to my house. I don't have it.
Why do you have so many socks?
I don't have it.
Either.
You certain things you
How is
need.
that?
So some people need it and they feel like they need
I
it.
mean, all of your tavod be the way I have a tava for socks. Hey, you know, For this is a good biracha. The Gemara on Second Barachot says, "Do not take light anyone's blessing." May all of your tavot be the same way I have tava for socks. And maybe the only clothes I do have a tava for is socks. And I'll tell you why. Because I need all cotton socks. Because I have my feet. I have pain in my feet, and with cotton it doesn't scratch. It doesn't make a problem. It's the material is much better. So you hit a point. The socks is the problem, right? You see, from even Hashem says, don't have tava for socks or anything already. Maybe, but you have to understand it's all God. It's all godliness. And the more you connect to God, all these physical things cannot affect you, like that Ayin Hara.
Doesn't mean you shouldn't inspire. Doesn't mean you should just
I never said you shouldn't inspire. This is, again, you're not listening. You shouldn't be jealous.
be jealous. Okay.
You should inspire.
You should be competitive.
You shouldn't be.
What does that bring competitive?
You shouldn't be. No, you shouldn't be competitive. You shouldn't be jealous.
No.
But go healthy competitive.
You shouldn't be. What's a healthy
Have to be
competitive?
competitive.
You know, Shammai Beit Hillel got punished because of their jealousy of one another.
No, it's
Don't say I see my boy doing it.
What's not possible?
What does say I see my boy
That
doing it?
is
I want to do
everything,
it too.
Rabbi.
No, it's
So
not.
I'll be honest, man, you talk garbage to the court because I want to play a serious game. You don't talk people like this. Some people, they don't care. You talk a little trash, everybody gets serious. You have a good game. Sometimes you need
Yeah,
it.
it brings the best out of you. Son.
Yeah,
Competitive
but
brings the
It's
best out
fun.
of you.
It's fun.
But it brings the best out of
Different
you.
systems, my boy.
Yeah.
It's fun. Why you looking at me? It's hard.
If a person doesn't have a drive, if a person doesn't have a drive for it and needs people to put him down in order for him to have a drive, then that means he doesn't seek that thing. You know what he's seeking? Validation from others. That's sad, my friend. If you really like to play basketball and you need someone to trash talk you, you don't like basketball.
No, I said that.
No. Do you hear what I just told you?
That's me.
You know
I
what?
always
Do you hear
play
what
safe.
do you hear what I just told you?
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? I always play safe.
I'm not talking specifically about you. I'm talking in general, right? So you don't need someone to trash talk you.
No. I
Why
always
not?
play
Why
safe.
not? Why don't you need
I
it?
love the game.
Why don't you need it? You should trash talk you, competitive. What happened? You know why you don't need it? Because you love the game. The other person needs it because he loves the game. Because he needs validation from another person. That's exactly my point. What I'm trying to tell you.
But then he won the game.
Do you understand? That's why when someone has a good relationship with his wife, he doesn't need validation from others. Because everything is good inside.
Yeah.
When someone has a good relationship in his job, he doesn't need validation from others because everything is good. When someone has a good relationship with God, no matter how much people think you're crazy, I don't care. I have a relationship with Hakadosh Baruch Hu. I daven 3 times a day with minyan. I make sure I don't miss Zman Shema. I make sure I bench. I make sure I wash my hands. I make sure I do negavas. I make sure all these things. I talk to Hashem all the time. I do the mitzvot, kalak b'chamura, all the light mitzvot that I think, the stringent mitzvot. I do everything. Everything. So when someone goes and says, oh, you're like this, you're like that, okay. It doesn't affect you. Why? Because only you know your relationship with God. But when someone says, God understands me, of course he understands you, but it doesn't mean that he still doesn't want you to do what needs to be done.
So
Oh, the rabbis added things. No, they didn't. The rabbis didn't add anything. Anything.
But it says halacha from rabbis.
Anything. The rabbis didn't add anything. The rabbis
Well, why not?
expanded. No, they expanded on what was already. They didn't add.
Good.
It's a wrong thing to say. Rabbis don't have the authority to add to the Torah. They have the authority to expand on whatever already existed in order to safeguard it, but not to add. They're not adding. Now we have to shake, I don't know, a soda bottle or the, what's it called, Star Wars, whatever, that new sword from that whole dual Star Wars. They didn't add. People don't understand the difference between adding and safeguarding. That's another topic on it. Why is the eye so important? Mr. I don't want to say your name. Why is the eye important? More than the ear and the mouth.
Because it sees and takes. I mean, it takes and gives.
It gives and takes. That's why one day you're going to learn Torah Hasod, the Olam HaTikun, the beginning of fixing up all the destruction comes from where?
Yes.
Because the eye is the perfect zivug, it's the perfect connection between one another. What do they say? Did you have that eye contact with her?
The eyes don't want.
Did you have that? What does that mean? Where does that even come from? Because there's a connection of the eyes before there's a connection of the mouth and before a connection of marriage.
So why does
I don't want to get into this because we're going to get into other mystical
but a million
things.
girls can do eye contact.
No, there's zonot eye contact, which you right away can tell, right? There's, she's a nice girl, she's just shy, she gave me that eye contact and she wants me to get her attention to find out her number in order to contact, right? And then there's one that's gold digger, like, look at me, I want
Yeah,
you.
but I'm a good looking nigga, I get it regardless.
That's for debate.
Mr.
That's for debate. Okay, Rabbi Isai.
It's not really.
Rabbi Isai, have a good night.